I feel like the space of chief information security officer has actually changed quite a bit in the last couple of years. It feels like when it first started out, it was just the protection, right? It's your infrastructure, it's breaches and everything else. But with the introduction of privacy laws, GDPR, and you said it yourself, now being in the government, it's not just the protection of the firm, it's also the protection of the state of Connecticut, which has really expanded. Would you agree that in the last couple of years, there's been significant changes in the role of the CISO, what you're responsible for and what you actually cover now?
Yeah, and that's a great topic, and I think I'm maybe a little uniquely positioned to answer that because I can go back 25 years, not just 5. And when I look at it like kind of early, medium, and kind of future state, in the early days, this really cybersecurity, first of all, it was called information security back then, so it does go back a little bit, but in those early days, it was really a technology issue, and it tended to live in financial institutions because that's where the money is, and people were, trying to break in back then. Very different attacker profile, though. I mean, going back that far in time, you had a handful of very skilled attackers. What you didn't have was kind of the organized nation state kind of things that we have now, where people are paid to hack all day, every day. We have, organized criminal gangs now. Things have changed quite a bit. When I look at sort of the middle phase of that, that's really where, risk management and really trying to understand the fact that we can't solve every single security issue that we identify, and really being able to make some of those risk trade-offs in terms of, what the business can tolerate, which things we should tackle first, second, and third. That's a constant thing. Now, kind of looking at like where we are now and where it's heading, those are now table stakes, right? Like every CISO needs to have some level of technology. I think that the need for communication is a lot stronger now. This is one of the few jobs where you need to communicate with every single either employee or in the state or in a company, up and down the stack, whether it's to the board of directors, the governor of the state, all these different stakeholders, and every single employee. So this is one of the few jobs other than CEO and maybe a couple HR jobs where you have to be able to communicate with every single person. And that's really, I think, where we're heading now. This is now a role where you're a business enabler. So if I look at what's going on in the state of Connecticut, and there's some really interesting things happening. One is that we're centralizing IT talent under the executive branch of the government. So we're really moving a lot of the people and the technology all under a central branch where we can now get much better leverage with just the way that we work and the way we operate. It's always hard, and this is true in the private sector too, but it's always hard just attracting and retaining talent, and making sure that we're leveraging the people that we do have in the right ways. And now with digital government, which is a really exciting initiative in the state of Connecticut. So, digital government was something that started under the Obama administration. And it, really is just about modernizing the way that government operates and really taking much more of a citizen's point of view. And that's very interesting because really in the past, certainly at a state government, including our own, you might go to the Department of Social Services, the DMV, any number of licensing agencies. You're looking for a hunting or a fishing license, something like that. And every single interaction, you're like a brand new person. So you're starting over. You have a new name, a new password. You have to put in all the same information that you put in at the last agency you dealt with. And nobody wants to interact with the government that way. Connecticut in particular has made some really immense strides in what we do with digital government. In fact, there's a saying in journalism that it's bad to be above what they call above the fold in the newspaper, right? So in the Hartford Courant, we actually made above the fold, and usually for a state government, that means something went horribly, horribly wrong, and they're just, you're now front page news. Turns out that particular story was for the fact that we are now doing more transactions in person at the Department of Motor Vehicles. I'm sorry, I have that backwards. We'll have to edit that out. We're now doing more transactions live on the internet than in person. So what that means for most people is that you don't need to show up to the DMV and get online. I mean, those are things that are tangible benefits that people really appreciate. And that particular story made the front page because it was just a lot of, a long time coming, but like really, really well done, well timed with the pandemic, having people not have to show up and put themselves at risk by going to, any place in person, especially when something just could be handled this way, digitally. That's a really good thing. Now, where that does get a little bit complicated from a security perspective, though, is that is called expanding our attack footprint. So now we have more digital systems. There's more ways that are exposed to the internet. Once it's on the internet, the entire planet can connect to it. So we have to really think about risk in a very different way than we might have in the past. We're starting to put some of this some of these systems online, and we have to be able to make sure that we're doing the right risk profiles for them, understanding what an attacker could do, and then making sure that we're mitigating that impact as well.